Welcome to MissouriNet.com. This will be Take Two with TJ Fenske from KRCG TV, who joins us on his day off. How nice of him to join us when he could be doing other stuff, enjoying this beautiful mid-Missouri fall weather. Instead, we're going to talk about the fall that the Tigers took this past Saturday against Indiana. TJ, initial thoughts as you saw that game unfolding. You were there up in the press box. What was going through your mind?
I was shocked, to be honest. Even the players were after the game, but I don't even know where to begin. You could start with the penalties. They had 10 the whole game, 11 the first 3 games. A bunch of false starts. You never saw that in the first 3 games. I think it was probably their first false starts penalties of the whole season. The center snaps, I don't know what got into Evan Boehm and Matty Mock, but there had to have been at least 5-10 awful snaps from the shotgun. Mentally, they just weren't in it. They couldn't sustain drives, poor throws. Indiana had 11 tackles for loss. They're breaking through that offensive line. I don't know what was up, but Missouri brought their C game, and Indiana brought their A game, and it showed.
I mean, what I tried to just come up with is they just overlooked Indiana. That was it. You've got the first week of SEC play coming up with South Carolina. They'll never admit it. The coaches won't use that as an excuse, but they're young kids. And in the course of 12 games, you looked at what happened to Indiana the week before, and you just, whether you cut corners in practice or you just come out there and you think things are going to go a certain way, I think it's just human nature. I think they just let up, and it was just enough that Indiana, once they got rolling and got the confidence, the Hoosiers said, we're in this thing to fight to the end. And as bad as Missouri played, they still had the lead with 2 minutes to go and they had a chance to pull this game out. I mean, I think that shows the skill level on paper. If you looked at the two teams, there's no doubt Missouri is much more skilled. They just weren't mentally in it. Is that acceptable, though?
It isn't, but the week before, Gary Pinkel was saying, we're not going to overlook them. All the players, we're not going to overlook them. We kept asking those questions, and they weren't going to overlook them. And they did. And I think it's no coincidence that the streak for turnovers and the defense forcing a turnover ended when Missouri lost. They didn't force one. But, yeah, it's fair to say they overlooked him. Excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, all right, so here we go. All right, you got that out of your system. Yeah. Is any loss ever a good loss? I mean, is this a way that they can turn this into a positive, or is that just cliche media talk?
It's a positive. It wasn't a conference game. That's the only positive you can take from this. Indiana, awful loss. It really hurts Missouri's chances for even making the playoff. But all that aside, it's not the SEC. You can still win the SEC East. You can still run the table. That's the only positive you can take from it, I feel. Got the non-conference out of the way, and while it was a bad loss, we're going to talk about it. They got to throw it behind them, and they can play for an SEC title now, which means a lot. If you're an SEC champion, they'll think about you in the playoff, or national title implications.
That's an interesting point, and maybe we'll kind of veer away for a second about the game with South Carolina. And you brought up a great point. Mizzou loses to Indiana, and you say that probably knocks them out of playoff contention. And you look at the SEC for the last, what has it been, 7, 8 years, whatever it was, where they've, prior to Florida State, where they won the national championship. The playoff system could really, if there was one conference that it really hurt, it could be the SEC, because when you look at the SEC East, for example, South Carolina has their issues. Georgia's played well, but there's still some question marks. Is Florida all the way back? They still have a lot of questions. You saw how Kentucky almost knocked them off. Vandy almost knocked off South Carolina. I mean, this thing is wide open, and that's just the SEC East. I mean, potentially you could be looking at a division winner with 1, maybe 2 losses, and if they win the SEC championship and it's somebody from the East, I mean, that could knock them out of the 4-team playoff. I mean, I know that's a stretch, but if there's one conference that stands to lose from this playoff system, it could be the SEC.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Would a 2-loss SEC team make it to the championship, or that playoff, over a Pac-12 team, or even the ACC? One loss Pac-12 team, or 1-loss ACC team. And obviously, the Big Ten's out of it, I would say. But who knows? Someone could run the table there. But it'd be very interesting because Alabama, Heck, if they don't win the SEC West, but they only have one loss, they don't go to the championship game, are they out of it?
Right.
It's going to be very interesting. I don't know what the voters will do. I think they should get in. The SEC champion should at least get into the playoff. If they win the SEC championship game, they should get in. I mean, you won the conference, best conference in college football. Why are you leaving them out? So, but we'll see what happens. There might be an exception. I mean, maybe the best team doesn't make it to the SEC championship game. Maybe in Alabama ties with Auburn, and Auburn gets to go. But it's a long season to go. Still got about 10 more weeks. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm probably jumping way ahead there, but it was interesting how you said it, though. I mean, Missouri, with the lack of respect that maybe they get, from a national level, that loss to Indiana, that'll be a big black eye, and if they were to somehow run the table and get through it, that would be one of those things. I could see Mizzou being the SEC champion and being the first team left out with one loss.
That's what I'm curious about, whether this will happen.
Yeah, that's about the Tigers' luck. So
we got to be rooting for Indiana now. So.
Yeah, they better shoot up so that loss doesn't look all that bad. South Carolina, once they finish this game with Mizzou, they're halfway through their SEC schedule, and they've got College Game Day there. It's going to be a huge atmosphere. The last two times that Carolina's played with ESPN College Game Day broadcasting from there, they beat Georgia when they were both like top 5 teams. They knocked off number 1 Alabama back in 2010. They get up for these games. They've been battle-tested. Mizzou hasn't. This is their first of 8 straight SEC games. Is that an advantage at all for Carolina?
I think so, but we got to keep in mind that this isn't the South Carolina team of 2 years ago. This South Carolina team is different. They don't have Connor Shaw. The defense is very questionable. I think they're ranked 9th in the country for points against, so teams are scoring points on them. It'll be a different team, but like I said, out of all the 6 SEC teams in the East that Missouri's played, South Carolina is the only team Missouri hasn't beat. So they're doing something right. And it's at South Carolina, game day environment at night, so it should be very interesting. But it definitely gives South Carolina an advantage, but it's not the same as it was before.
What does Mizzou have to do to win this game?
They got to stop Mike Davis, the running back, because they didn't stop Coleman from Indiana. They got to shore up that run game defense. And they got to show up on offense. You're going to have new receivers playing. Darius White's going to be out. Jamon Moore, Lawrence Lee, Wesley Leftwich, they're going to have to put up points on this weak South Carolina defense. If they're going to win this game, they're going to have to score some points. Georgia had to do it, although they lost, but every team's been scoring points. They want to win this game, they're going to have to.
Do you think it's going to take 40 to win this game when you look at these two teams and their defense?
Well, all my predictions have been wrong before. I believe, though, they got to score at least 35 points, I believe. But
I think you're dead on with that one, TJ. I think you're going to be right this week. This is when you break through. This is going to be the week.
This is my week. But I think they have Missouri has the capabilities to score 35 or plus points, especially against this South Carolina team. They show up, they play their A game, shore up the penalties, fluid on offense. They should be fine. And they'll have Marcus Golden back on defense. He was surely missed on against Indiana, so that should help. But I think run defense will be key, and then offense, scoring some points.
All right, 35 points. That's what it's going to take for Mizzou this week. We'll see what happens. This is a big game. This is a lot riding for the Missouri Tigers. I don't want to say it's their season yet in terms of the SEC because they still have, Georgia and Florida and can still finish strong. And you can get in with one win, I think, in the SEC East. But, boy, it's sure going to make it hard, though, if you lose this one.
So you got a bye week coming after this, and then Georgia coming in. You don't want to go into Georgia with 2 losses. I'll tell you what, it's probably the biggest game of the schedule for Missouri so far. Yeah,
and I think just from a mental standpoint, I mean, if you go into that bye week with 2 losses, you're stewing. I mean, that's got to weigh on your confidence, and at least if you get a win, you've got something positive to build off of, and then you've got a couple of weeks to get ready for Georgia. But yeah, another loss, and man, that's a long time to be. Because now you're looking at 3 weeks since your last win. That could be tough.
Yeah, you don't want those losses to marinate on you. You just want to move on, get over with them. So.
Yeah, marinate, the big word. I like that. That's going to be the headline on this story. Hold on, I'm going to write that down right now. Marinate.
I'll try and bring that up every hangout.
I don't want to. I don't want to forget that. No, that's a gem, man. That's a one-time gem right there. Marinate. That's great. TJ Fenske from KRCG TV out of Jefferson City. Great stuff as always, and we will talk to you again during the bye week, and hopefully some good news for Mizzou fans.
Yeah, let's hope so. Yeah.
Thanks for following us throughout the week. You can get Mizzou football here at MissouriNet.com. Thanks for watching.